Emonet is Italy's sector leader for total management of transfusion services, which favours an optimal use of blood with maximum safety and efficiency. Emonet allows for complete traceability throughout the transfusion cycle, from the collection of donor blood to its processing, conservation, distribution and transfusion. Emonet, thanks to the integration of RFID technology, can today guarantee maximum patient safety and has made the work of doctors and transfusion staff much easier. RFID is a radio frequency device which allows us to memorize vast amounts of data. The RFID tags used by Emonet are compatible with clinical contexts, certified against interference with other electronic medical devices, and are guaranteed to be able to read data in extreme conditions. Emonet RFID is the solution used in the project for the movement of blood units at the transfusion centre and the departments of the various medical centres connected with the hospital of Varese. Transfusion safety starts from the very moment when the unit begins its life, or in other words, donation. Mr. Bianchi goes to the transfusion centre to give blood. At reception, the clerk identifies the donor using his health card or some other secure form of ID. Once the data has been entered, Emonet produces a barcoded bracelet which Mr. Bianchi will take with him through the following steps of the process. Mr. Bianchi is called by the doctor for his pre-donation examination and evaluation of suitability. The doctor declares Mr. Bianchi to be fit to donate. Emonet then produces barcoded labels for the samples and RFID labels for the blood bags. Before the blood is taken, the staff use a dedicated RFID and barcode reader which is integrated with the scales to make sure that the samples and the units match up with the donor. The quantity of blood taken, the donation time and the clinical data are read by the scales and automatically sent to Emonet. Once the blood has been taken, the processing cycle of the blood units begins while the samples are analysed to confirm that the lots collected can be approved for use. The use of RFID technology is essential where the processing of blood lots is centralised at local, regional or departmental health service level and where large quantities of blood units have to be moved on a daily basis. The blood units are transferred from outlying donor centres to the processing centre. The collected lots are recorded by the system by simply passing through the RFID gate. The containers in which the blood is transported are equipped with temperature sensors which ensure the correct conservation of the blood and which can provide valuable information for the processing phases. The units arrive at the transfusion centre for processing. With a simple passage through the RFID gate, the arrival is recorded along with data concerning weight and temperature. Whole blood is centrifuged to separate it into its three main components. The correspondingly separated unit is positioned on the separator, which produces the blood components in the various surrounding units. During all of the stages of processing, the units can be quickly and simply identified by resting them on a special sensor pad designed to carry out RFID readings. In the assembly phase, it is possible to scan all of the units by resting them simultaneously on the RFID pad. The heart of the process is the computer confirmation of the correspondence between the provisional and the final labelling. Emonet confirms that the balance checks have been carried out to ensure that the patient unit and the sample match up, and that if they don't, that the blood group be rechecked. The validated and confirmed unit then receives the written data on the RFID tag, which provide all the information necessary for its identification. The unit is now ready to be used in the ward, in outlying centres or in the blood processing industry. On arrival at a new centre, the important data for the unit can be quickly and automatically downloaded in the centre's control area, simply by reading the contents of the RFID tag. The processing industry, by equipping itself with scanners for mass readings and a computerized checking system interfaced with the bleeding lists generated by Emonet, can derive enormous benefits in operational and efficiency terms. Mr. Verdi turns up at the ward for his admission for a scheduled hospitalization. At the ward reception, Mr. Verdi is identified and given an RFID bracelet or barcode in line with the internal health service procedures. The ward doctors determine that Mr. Verdi needs a transfusion. Using the Emo Ward module, they record the transfusion request, produce the necessary documentation, and print the RFID labels or barcodes for the pre-transfusion tests. Blood samples are taken at the patient's bedside, also using a handheld device and the Emopalm module, which will confirm the match between the patient and the labeled sample tests. The request is automatically recorded in Emonet, which avoids the risk of operators at the transfusion center repeating the process. When the labeled sample arrives at the transfusion center, the staff use their computer to check the matching. While the pre-transfusion checks are carried out, they identify the best unit for the patient. The ward nurse takes delivery of the units and the transfusion center operator registers the transaction. At this point, Emonet updates the RFID label, which is attached to the unit right from the moment of donation, adding the data of the recipient. Before carrying out the transfusion in the ward, the health service operators use a handheld device and Emopalm to make sure that the unit is the right one for the patient. Emopalm allows us access to all information concerning medical and nursing staff involved in the operation, start and end time of the transfusion, possible reactions. Emonet automatically signals the transfusion operation. In this way, it is possible to monitor every stage of the procedure. Errors are prevented and the onset of any reactions are recorded. The process is now complete. Computerized and technological tools have allowed us to guarantee control over safety and the complete traceability at all stages of the process. Emonet allows us to manage the process by marking every unit for origin, destination and temperature of conservation throughout its life cycle. The use of Emonet integrated with RFID technology brings about advantages in terms of quality, efficiency, transparency and reduction of risks. It is a tangible step towards a new generation of solutions.